you don't want to be in a line with your team. You want to be creating some kind of crossfire, right? And this does a couple of things. One, you're more likely to find enemies that aren't aware of you. Two, it's going to make your shots easier to hit, especially if you're like 90 degrees. See the sim? If she's ADing, and she might even be right now. So when you're to the side of her, her movement is minimized. Even then, it was still kind of like, those were fairly easy shots to hit, right? And like, if they're standing still in ADing, and you're to the side, their head hitbox isn't moving relative to you, right? So getting to the side makes your shots easier to hit, makes targets less aware of you, and if anyone turns to look at you, they have to look away from your team, exposing themselves to your team's damage and taking pressure off of them. There's this like idea that it's a tank's job to make space, and it's not. It's a tank's job to soak up resources and cooldowns so the DPS can survive long enough to help them make space. It's the tanks and the DPS together that make space. And let me just draw this right here. I like to draw this diagram for people just to like kind of illustrate it a bit. You got the enemy team, you know, they're wherever, they're doing whatever. Your team, they're wherever, they're doing whatever. If you're here behind them, enemy team can shoot back in one direction, can shield in one direction, can hide behind like one corner, and, you know, they're all good. They can choose how much they peek your team, how much damage they take, and what they do, and then they can hide and get their resources back whenever they'd like. And gold and below players don't do that, right? They just stand there having a shootout in main, so it doesn't matter. Plat is where they start learning this, and then in like diamond and up, if you stand in open space, you're dead, because they're going to shoot you. They're not going to miss the shot, right? So, where am I going? Boom. If you on Ash, y'all, boom, are here at 90 degrees, now you've denied them this cover, right? So the enemy team has a couple of options. They can look at your team and die to you. They can look at you and die to your team. They can split their resources, right? And try to match you in 1v1 and 5v5. And then it's going to be like, are you better than this DPS or not? There's some more complex counterplay that can go into it at this point. I'm not going to talk about that yet. Like, that's when we go even deeper into the game. But, if they, like, split their resources unevenly, like, say, 2 people look at you, then your team's taking a 5v4, an advantage fight, right? So long as you don't die, you're playing cover, and you're playing safe, like, it's huge. Even if you don't kill anything, you're still creating an advantage, right? And then option 3 for this team is they can back up far enough that these 2 angles effectively become a single angle that they can deal with again, right? This is like the core fundamental of your macro positioning. This is how you, as a DPS, help make space for your team by taking pressure off of them, and how you help force the enemy back to make space for your tanks to walk forward. If your tanks are having trouble pressing W, it could be their fault, it could be your supports, or it could be the fact that you're not off-angling and helping them create space, yeah? This is like fundamentally required. And to go like one level deeper with this, if this is so strong for you, part of your job as a DPS is also preventing the enemy from doing this to you. If you see a DPS flanking and you can either just straight up take that duel, or 2, just get some early damage on them so they cannot engage, because you play range, right? So you just shoot them once or twice and make them back out. Then they don't get this angle on your team. They don't get the pressure that that makes your tanks have to back up, that loses you the space you need to do work, right? So it's both sides of taking these angles and denying these angles from the enemy team. Yeah? You're trying to, put simply, you're trying to surround them while not letting them surround you. And to be just like a word of caution, when I say surround, you do not have to be fully behind them. You don't have to fully surround them. You can, if it's safe to do so. That's really strong. But, like, that's also very isolating, and, you know, you can get cut off and just die here, right? But this is surrounding them, right? You break that right there, you have all the angles on them, they have none of the angles on you. Right?